We have a time, we have a time.
It's 6:01 p.m. I will call this meeting of the Board of Trustees order. Roll call.
Bruno,
Here.
Shampoo, here, Cox,
Here,
Orozco, here, Warner, here, White, here, and Bell.
Here.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Motion by Berto, second by White. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approve the meeting minutes of May 16th. Last board meeting. Any additions, subtractions, edits? The motion will be in order then.
I'll make a motion.
second,
Motion by Wisco,
I was scrolling. I'd like to add something,
What page, please?
15. On line 30. As an elected official, she is speaking for those people who voted for each of us around this table, who live here year round and need to work here.
Okay.
And then on page 16, sorry Heidi,
That's okay.
line 12, it's just a typo. Making needs to be made.
Okay.
are you okay with those? edits?
Then on page 16, line 36. Homes being sold for STRs are more than just a fraction, about needs to be changed to above. And on line 35, I think it should state Schmelzer added the following corrections throughout the discussion by the trustees. That's all.
Okay. Do we want to retract that, or do we just, are you okay with those edits?
Yeah.
Done?
it was kind of hard to follow along, but because it's going pretty fast there, but it didn't seem to be too big of a deal. Or if that's what you guys remember happened, I wasn't here.
Okay. All right, that's a motion by Roscoe, second by Cox. All those in favor?
All right.
Okay. Carries.
A meeting.
Okay. Comments, correspondence, and concerns from the public.
Asking for a resolution to allow short-term rentals for residential condos in R2 with the development agreement allowing for transient life. By the
State your name.
Rich Melts.
Thank you, Chris. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Right, I live here, moved here. Your name, my name is Devin Kyler, and I'm requesting a resolution that if the board decides to move forward with the change to the ordinance and the licensing for short-term rentals, that an effective date of 30 days be added to that, during which period applications could be submitted. Is this the time where I would mention why I asked that? A comment or from the public or a concern?
Go ahead and finish your thought.
The issue has to do with process rather than content. For 1 minute only, I'll mention my background because everyone tends to think everybody's the same. We need to begin renting for medical reasons. We get illegal to get special medical care. In any event, I read on the website, as this is developed, did my work. I went to get an application from the office and the people were very nice there, but they told me I could not have an application. And further, they told me that the applications in process had all been suspended. I looked at the website and I didn't see a board authorization for this suspension. So My request is that there be a 30-day window to allow people to submit their application and have it considered. There is an issue around the process here that I did have looked at by an expert person. So that's why I'm making the request, please. I think it's hopefully not too much of an ask if there is an approval. That's why I'm requesting.
Thank you. Well, I don't want to have a dialogue here. I do think that it's probably warranted to have an answer for that. Really about the not accepting applications, whether there's some basis for that, and obviously there is.
Sure, that doesn't sound, right to me. So the way the code is written is if you have an existing license, you have a period of time to reapply. So it goes from March until mid-May, basically, that we accept those applications. That gives us time to process all of them and everything. And then you can apply again, and if you miss that window, then you can apply again after July 1st. And I'm guessing that's what he was told.
Okay. This is not the time for a dialogue back and forth. This is for us to hear. Pardon?
You can't hear you. Speak up. You didn't hear anything she said.
So the way the code is written right now, you, if you already have a license, you can apply for a new license beginning in March. And then we accept those applications until mid-May. That's the way the code is written. If you miss that window to submit a license, a subsequent license, then you have to wait until July 1st and you can apply again.
Is there anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm totally confused about all these ordinances and amended ordinances and everything else. I came to the one hearing, I couldn't get in the door to speak and ask questions. And what you need to do here is set up a microphone so that people can hear you, because every time somebody turns and talks to Nate, nobody hears you back here. Okay. But my question is, the state inspected my house 7 years ago, and I recently had another inspection. I saw in the village ordinances, they wanted to know where my fire extinguishers were located. When the state last inspected me, and I went to talk to Chris about this and he wasn't in, they said they didn't want us to put fire extinguishers on the property, because they want the people to get the hell out the door when there's a fire. They don't want them to play firemen. So now in the ordinance that you guys are proposing, I saw that there was somewhere in there that you had requested me to identify where my fire extinguishers were. So at the same time, I'm reading this as you're telling me you want fire extinguishers, the state's telling me not to put them in. So there's some confusion there and that needs to be clarified. Okay, the other thing, my house was built 80 years ago. As it was used for 80 years as a short-term and long-term rental. I've accommodated all kinds of people that worked on the village, ministers that came here, other people that came here. So now I got to pay to pick up my garbage. I got to pay the village a fee to rent it out. It's zoned commercial. I think I should be exempt from all these rules and regulations. What goes on in the commercial district, I anticipated would be commercial, that I could rent it out. I don't see any difference between my property and the Sister Bay Yacht Club. What goes on in single family neighborhoods doesn't really affect me. Sure, I got to put up with the music at the stage. I had to put up with the tearing down of the Helms Resort. I had to put up with the construction after the original developer went bankrupt at the Sister Bay Yacht Club. I had to put up with tons of sand being brought in to expand the beach park. I had to put up with the construction of the stage that was down there, on and on. But when I bought the property, it was zoned commercial. I don't feel as though I can complain about that because I knew what I was getting into. But now you're treating me the same as somebody else that's in a single family neighborhood. And I don't think that's right. Those are my comments.
Okay, could I get your name for the record?
Pardon?
Could I get your name for the
Oh,
record?
yeah, Kim Erzinger,
Thank you.
2370 Parkview Drive, Sister Bay.
Okay, anyone else? Okay. Let's move on to, is Dave on there? Or-
Do not see Dave yet.
Dave called, he ran into an issue at the arena. He's probably gonna be down there till around 11 o'clock midnight, so he's not gonna be here.
All right, let's move on to 7, then Julie Gilbert with Destination Door County.
I really appreciate the opportunity to provide an overview and address the questions that many of you have regarding the visitor economy and how it directly impacts the village of Sister Bay. And before I start, allow me to introduce Door County's Tourism Zone Administrator, Juliana Beam. And she is the one that would have questions, or be able to answer questions related to lodging tax collections. I've provided packets that I will be referencing the materials starting on the right side. So that top sheet you will see is showing the tourism zone has collected 71.9 million in room tax for the period of 2007 and through 2022. A total of 47.9 million went to Destination Door County over those 15 years and 21.5 million to member municipalities over those 15 years. And I would then like to provide an overview on your next insert of where does that room tax go in Door County and how that lodging tax is distributed. So the rest of our presentation will cover the additional questions that you were all kind enough to provide. But if I don't answer anything that you specifically want to know about, please don't hesitate to ask that question. We're governed by the Wisconsin State Statute 66.0615, requiring at least 70% of room taxes collected in a tourism zone must be spent by a tourism entity on tourism promotion and tourism development related activities in Door County. And Destination Door County is the Door County Tourism Zone's designated tourism entity. And we follow our entity agreement that was signed last May with the tourism zone. The tourism zone is governed by commission members who are volunteers designated by each member municipality and has a full-time administrator along with a part-time assistant. The Village of Sister Bay currently has your village administrator, Julie Schmelzer, and your Sister Bay Advancement Association Director, Louise Housen, representing you as your Sister Bay Zone Commissioners. The tourism zone collects and distributes an 8% room tax on behalf of all the 19 municipalities. 70% of that amount is sent to Destination Door County, which is required by state statute to be spent on the promotion and development. And 30% that is collected is provided to the municipalities for you to use whatever you feel is a priority. I'll highlight Sister Bay's specific growth in those revenues shortly. From the 70% collected, the following is how it is distributed. And I hope that flow chart, which was right behind the zone collections in your packet, will help to better visualize. But again, please ask any questions. You'll see a green box that highlights municipal reimbursement program. The municipalities are invoiced by the tourism zone for their administrative costs to run the tourism zone. And the 70% that Destination Door County receives reimburses that administrative cost directly to each municipality. And then the blue box underneath the municipal reimbursement program is a strategic community partnership program. And that's funded with 19% of the 70% that Destination Door County receives to provide support to our community business associations, which Sister Bay Advancement Association is one. And each of our community business associations receives their municipality's percentage of room tax collection. The Sister Bay Advancement Association, SBAA, with 160 members, is the largest in Northern Door County. And 80 members are Sister Bay residents who own or operate businesses in Sister Bay. The SBAA is staffed with 2 full-time and 3 seasonal employees. 3 of those are Sister Bay residents. And many of the events that are conducted by the SBAA every year are focused on enhancing the resident experience in Sister Bay, including Ice Out, Easter egg hunt, rummage sale, capture the spirit holiday lighting, and of course, fall festival. The SBAA has a 9-member board along with a village liaison. 6 board members live and own or operate Sister Bay businesses. Last year, they raised $25,000 for Sister Bay Village and nonprofits, including the local food pantry, the fire department, and village ice rink. And I would be remiss if I didn't congratulate the village on establishing an operating agreement with the Sister Bay Advancement Association, creating and operating the only shuttle bus service in Door County. And as a result, transportation has become a much larger conversation, and several other northern Door communities and municipalities now have park and rides at large events and are considering some similar shuttle services. So that's a really big deal. You'll see Community Investment Fund, which was established January 1st of this year. This is also out of the 70%, and we have contributed just under $2 million. As a community shared values organization that balances sustainability for our businesses, organizations, and our environment, the Destination Door County Board of Directors, along with the Tourism Zone Commissioners, recognized that it was essential to better support our municipalities and other organizations because of the increased demand on local tourism infrastructure. The Community Investment Fund is administered by the Door County Community Foundation. Using a portion of those room tax dollars paid by visitors, the Community Investment Fund offers grants to projects that benefit our visitors while they are here and improve the quality of life for those who live and work in Door County. And the first round of grant recipients included this Village of Sister Bay, awarded $90,000 for a multi-jurisdictional trail, which was the highest award out of all that were given in this first round. And that next grant application deadline is July 6th. Julie, I'm sure you're on now.
I figured we'd spread the wealth a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So not on your flow chart, though, is also a new parks investment program that was recently initiated and approved by the Tourism Zone and Destination Door County Board of Directors to help support our municipal parks, our county parks, our county parks friends groups, as well as our state parks friends groups as a one-time funding allocation because of higher than anticipated room tax collections in 2022. There will be more details to follow, but the Village of Sister Bay will receive a total of $17,279.48 for support of your municipal parks, again, following those state statute requirements because it's out of that 70%. Destination Door County Core Operations is used for marketing and management activities that enhance the visitor experience, such as our Door County Welcome Center, providing year-round visitor services in person, phone, online, support the tourism industry. Some of those examples are the J1 Visa program or our Door County Gift Certificate program, which sold more than $700,000 last year, and it all has to be spent in Door County locally. So thank you to all the businesses here that accept Door County gift certificates. And it also strengthens the destination image. And by strengthening a destination's image and brand, it creates a distinct and memorable identity that sets it apart from other destinations. A strong brand helps establish a positive perception, instills confidence in potential visitors, and fosters community pride, leading to sustainable growth and development in the long term. And we do this all with working with our partners and our stakeholders all together. The next sheet that you will see is the power of Wisconsin tourism. And in Door County is there was $582 million generated in total economic impact From the visitor economy, 467 million generated in direct tourism spending, 47.8 million generated in local and state taxes, 3,335 local jobs were supported by tourism, and 113.3 million in total labor income from tourism. The village of Sister Bay has seen tremendous economic growth from the overall increase in the Door County visitor economy. And in 2022, Sister Bay saw $1,596,758, collected in room tax, which provided revenue back to the village of $479,028, which is the village's 30% share. And that is shown in the next insert of your packet, which highlights the room tax collection and the 30% that the village received between 2018 and 2022. The vision and leadership of the village of Sister Bay has been courageous and bold. Sister Bay led the way and understood the importance of what the visitor economy could bring to the village by supporting businesses and services, as well as building a quality of life and sense of pride and place for the community. Sister Bay understood that tourism is essentially an export and is a primary way for a community to grow economically. That means people coming into the village are bringing in new dollars and leaving it behind for all of us to benefit from. You also lobbied for and successfully received an exemption for the Premier Resort Area Tax, PRAT. And Sister Bay and Ephraim are the only communities in Door County that have been able to enact it. And the PRAT tax, which is 0.5%, is a local retail sales tax on specific items authorized by the Wisconsin legislature and administered by the Wisconsin Department of Revenue. And under law, the sponsoring municipality can use the proceeds of this tax to pay for infrastructure expenses within Sister Bay. You made this happen, and you enabled this funding source to generate additional dollars for the village based on that increased visitation. And the village of Sister Bay has received a total of $1,239,912 since the PRAT's inception in 2019. I'm almost done. I would now like to talk about our strategic plan, and that was a part of a process initiated after the signing of last year's entity agreement between Destination Door County and the tourism zone to create a framework for Destination Door County's 3-year strategic plan by identifying goals and objectives that drive the organization's focus and priorities. By September 1 of each year, Destination Door County will present to both the Tourism Zone Commission and the Destination Door County Board of Directors the goals and objectives that a special strategic planning committee that is comprised of both zone commissioners and Destination Door County Board of Directors had identified in their planning sessions. So we've created a condensed handout of the strategic plan included in your packet, so you can look through that, and it provides the goals and objectives along with what we are measured against as well. And that actionable plan is what drives the budget process. We provide a quarterly report to both the Tourism Zone Commissioners and the Destination Door County Board of Directors to show what our progress is against those mutually agreed upon performance measurements. The full version of the plan is located on the Destination Door County website, where the link for that page is included in each municipal newsletter, which is our new destination connection, which I also included a copy right after the strategic plan that was just initiated and sent out last month. The Destination Connection newsletter was created to ensure that we have consistent communication with all of our municipalities, providing that relevant information that you need, that's easily accessible and can take you to the programs that you may have questions on or need additional information. As this was the first one that we sent out, we are really asking for feedback and whatever suggestions that you have to make this better, because it really is for you, and it really would be helpful for us to know that. Our intention is to send out at least 2 of these newsletters per year. And we've also included Destination Door County's list of our 21 governing board of directors. They are your neighbors, business and community leaders who believe in the positive impact that the visitor economy can continue to make in Door County. And we have some board members here tonight. I'm not sure if Bjorn is on Zoom. Bjorn Johnson, Britt Unkefer, which I think Britt is here, and Dan Kruger. So they're all very committed to ensuring that we stay positive moving forward. As part of listening to our residents, businesses, and organizations, Destination Door County has initiated a destination master plan that includes assessing sentiment from both our locals and our businesses. And this will help answer the question regarding our businesses saturated. The survey closes at the end of day tomorrow, June 21st. And we're very grateful to the village for providing us the opportunity to send out the resident survey link. So we will be hosting a Village Hall public meeting for Northern Door residents in Sister Bay, actually here, September 13th from 9:30 to 11. And once all of this information is disseminated, it will be shared with all the municipalities and community business associations for their review as well. The growth in permanent residents in Sister Bay really is a tribute to your tenacity to ensure sustainability for your businesses. There wouldn't be a new medical facility built if it weren't for your vision. Outdoor recreation, restaurants, and retail wouldn't be in Sister Bay were it not for the development that Sister Bay moved forward with. Sister Bay businesses help support Sister Bay's economic base. Your waterfront provides a haven for both your residents and your visitors. We can't take our visitor economy for granted. Sister Bay has taken bold steps to get to where you are today, and now we must work together to ensure that our goals for the future are aligned and support the needs of our visitor economy and our residents. I know this was long, there's a lot of information. I really do appreciate your time. And just a quick note, on the left side of the packet is our May dashboard report, that there is a link to that from the Destination Connections newsletter and our staff directory. Also included is the National Travel and Tourism Week insert that was sent out from folks May 7th through the 13th. And my business card is on there. My cell phone is on there. You can text me, call me, email is on there. I'm always really looking forward to hearing, listening, and learning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question, and again, I know it was a lot, but if you have any question, please.
I don't know if you'll know this. Thank you so much for that presentation. That was really helpful, especially being a newer board member. When I'm looking at the first document you shared with us.
Yes.
The total room tax revenue through
Yes.
rent. Is that significant increase from like 2022 to 21 to 20? Or 2020 to 21 to 22? Is that due to the increased tax rate that we saw in 2022? Or is that because of the number of renters?
From 2021 to 2022, it does signify that 5.5 to 8%. Yes,
Okay.
that's a really good question. And the other is also a lot of COVID reactions and visitation based on outdoor recreation and, so many things that we have to offer here that were very much appealing. All the restaurants, all the activities,
I mean, it's very significant, even
Yeah.
from like 2019, 18, 17, there's been a lot of movement. Thank you.
yeah.
Yes, I actually was gonna ask that same thing, and I just did some math over here, just
Of course you did.
because I love doing math. 45% increase was a lot of it from the tax rate changing that much, but it still was a 12% growth from 21 to 22.
Yeah.
Even dollars,
Got
so
it.
it still was a nice jump, because 20 to 21 was huge
Right,
because of COVID,
COVID.
and everybody came up, but then they continued to.
Yeah.
and it seems like they might still be a little bit.
okay, helpful. Like, sorry, one more question. Do we like our projections that it'll stay around the 2022
been having a lot of conversations with our lodging partners, and what we're hearing as things are consistent with last year, and their workforce, again, just from some of the partners that we've spoken to, they're comfortable with the workforce that they have right now in order to be able to sustain that. So that's what we're hearing right now. That could change. Hopefully our economy will stay strong, and we'll see. For sure. Thank you. Thank you.
If I wanted to take the survey, would I just go to your website and is it easy to find?
You know what? I will send you a link, Denise. I'll make it super easy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It will take some time.
It is on the homepage of the village's website, and I have paper copies of the.
Paper copies.
Yeah.
Hey,
We do have some older residents who like to do paper stuff.
okay, I'll go onto the village's website. So
Are you
no,
sure?
yes,
Okay.
positive.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do you capture the demographics for who's taking the survey?
We will.
Okay.
It's because it's still active. We'll have a tremendous amount of information, and once it's disseminated, we can share it with everyone.
Okay.
So, of course.
So kind of a question, because of the sentiment I have sat in this room and heard from people and talking to the community. Why is Door County still marketing itself? We have all these people here, we don't want any more, what are we doing? Yes.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question, and it's competitive. It's very competitive, and if a destination does not stay in the consideration set, people will go elsewhere. And that is when, and what I said about we can never take the visitor economy for granted. Because there is no Door County, but there are other interests and areas that people have, and again, considerations that set is very important, and they will go elsewhere.
Do we have any data on the tourists? How many are recurring versus one-time tourists?
That's a great question, and I'm trying to identify how we can determine that. There's several different research platforms that we work with. I can't see it on the ones that we have right now, but our repeat visitation is high. But again, and with the demographic, with the age, there will be some changes with that. We're seeing an increase in families as well. So, but yeah, if you want to sit down and go through a lot of the data analytics that we have, I would love to do that. That'd be great. Yeah, because it just gives you a better insight on what we're seeing. So.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
And I'm kind of a big in that. So, yes, ma'am.
So the visitor spending and the state and local taxes that you had referenced,
Yes,
how is that calculated?
it's.
What data set is used for that and how accurate is it?
It's actually done by Tourism Economics, which is a subsidiary of Oxford Economics, and they use all public data sources. I can certainly go back and pull, and I in the full report, it cites all of the specific data sources. Happy to share that full report with you, because it to be able to know that it is credible and it is aligned with fact. So I am happy again to share that full report with you. But we feel it actually, the state of Wisconsin does contract with Tourism Economics to do the state, and then we subcontract to have them pull out Door County. But again, I've known them for a long time, and they are part of Oxford Economics, and they're very incredible. But I would like to share that.
I
with
didn't
you.
doubt the numbers.
No, but it's, you can make different things say different, right? And
Yes.
so this will give you a very good picture of those public data sources that they pull from.
Okay,
So,
that'd be great. Thank you.
yeah, no, absolutely.
Go ahead. Yes,
I wonder if maybe you might want to, in terms of room tax and the growth, Sarah didn't mention how why the growth was so huge. I could ground the board on a comp basis, the county was flat in room tax last year. So if the room tax had remained at 5.5%, the county was flat. On a year-to-date basis, the county is down 9% in room tax. What helps this need in reality?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes,
I was wondering if I wanted to see where you were advertising outside, the area of Door County, where would I be able to find,
Online.
right on your website?
No, we focus on digital outreach because we can be more targeted and more specific and intentful based on the fact that the type of visitors that we are trying to attract, which are our high value visitors. They're ones that stay longer, they spend more, and they are environmentally conscious, sustainable, and it's really targeted, so.
So it's more digital than it is.
Yeah.
Even before.
But then we can see intent to visit, we can see engagement, we can make modifications, optimizations much more quickly. We can be flexible, we can be, quick to act. So that's a good question. Thank you.
yes.
Do you know what line item on the village budget, the revenue generated from the tax shows up in? Does anybody?
I'd have to ask Josh on that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Julie, can you just introduce Juliana real quick so people understand she's a big partner or part of?
Yeah, I did at the beginning.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is Juliana Bean, who is the administrator for the tourism zone. Yeah, thank you, Julia.
Do we have another?
Yes,
Sorry, one more
yes,
question.
of course.
The May report,
Yes,
total visitation by region, the bottom graph. Do you have that year over year to see how?
Yep.
Sister Bay has grown or not? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously grown, but I'd be curious to see just the growth by each of the villages.
yeah, we can put that together for you. And remembering it's not specific numbers, it's more trending.
Yeah, that's all, yeah.
Because it's GPS location data.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so it gives us a good indication of what's happening either up or down.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I will definitely do that.
Any other questions for Julie?
I just heard there are billboards outside of Chicago. Are there still billboards outside of Chicago? Okay, that didn't seem very targeted.
No, there isn't. But it's, and it's a good question because if things have changed so fast in marketing and, we try to be very data driven on our spend and we try to be very specific in targeting the right type of visitor, so.
Good. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you very much. And again, any questions, I so appreciate your time. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Item 8, convening to the executive session. Have a motion to enter executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Bertle, second by Shannon. Roll call vote. Val, yes.
Want to do it?
Sure. Can you go around?
Okay, go ahead.
Val, yes.
Campo, yes. White, yes. Rosalia. Werner, yes.
Cox, yes.
Berto, yes.
Okay, should we bring that in now?
Second.
Motion by Shannon, second by Cox. Roll call. Val, yes.
Campo, yes.
Wait, yes.
Roscoe, yes. Werner, yes.
Cox, yes.
Berto, yes.
We're back in open session. Let's move on to 9A. Julie, you want to talk about the?
Sure. Can you speak a little louder?
Please.
Sure.
Please.
Yep. So we're gonna be talking about chapter 66, which is the zoning code. And before I start, I just want to clarify that there was an error in the one that was posted 2 weeks ago. The plan commission had said that in the older condominiums in R2, that they would not limit the 20% or the number of days. And that still showed up in the draft, so just, so you know, that was an error, that's not in there. In the one that we were discussing, and then it also inadvertently still had home occupation limitations in there, so that was wrong as well, so those were not in the final draft that the board reviewed. I just wanna let everybody know, we've heard a lot of comments on this for 6-7 months, maybe. There's been a lot of emotions involved with this on both sides, I think operators and neighbors. We are trying to find the balance in the neighborhoods. We're trying to preserve our R1 areas, our R3 areas, the districts, the other districts. We've worked pretty hard for the last couple months, and we believe we have a good compromise or something that's going to allow people to rent while protecting neighborhoods. We do plan on reviewing this annually. And we're probably going to put it back on our agenda for next spring to look at it again, which is not uncommon. We adopted a smart growth plan around I think it was 2001 or around that time. And in that code, we talked about how we are going to review our ordinances annually to make sure they're following trends and needs. So this is no different. This is something that we'll probably be looking at next spring, just like we did a year ago, right? So with that said, I just want to go into chapter 66. It has been posted. I think everybody has seen what it says. The only change that the board has is to the definition section of short-term rental. So basically, as you know, the current definition says we don't limit the number of days it can be rented or the days in the year in the business districts or in the R2 by development agreement. So the board does support that. They haven't changed their mind on that. That's what this draft says, right? What this proposal says. They also agree, as we talked about, that following the Plan Commission's recommendation that you shouldn't limit them in the R2 condos not approved by development agreement. So what that means is if you're an R2 owner, you're okay. You don't have time limits. The change they made to the draft, though, was the draft says in the R1, R3, and C1, or I'm sorry, countryside districts, we were gonna honor grandfathering. We're not gonna do that. But it did say we were going to limit them to one rental in a 7-day period, not to exceed 180 consecutive days in a 365-day period. We have struck that. But what we are saying in the R1, R3, and CSO1 districts, that there would have to be a minimum of a 2-night stay, a maximum of 2 per week. The rental property shall be restricted to occupants at a rate of 3 persons per legally permitted bedroom in existence as of July 1st, 2023. A greater density may be allowed upon approval of the Plan Commission, and homes to be rented can be a maximum of 4 bedrooms unless approved by the Plan Commission. What that means is if you are, again, if you are an old resort, you're grandfathered. Don't worry about it. This code allows you to be grandfathered. This only applies to those residential districts, and it's saying you can go ahead and rent. Has to be a 2-night stay, limited to 2 times a week, so you can't flip it every night. And you have to have the maximum size of your home is 4 bedrooms unless you get approval from the Plan Commission. And the occupants are calculated at 3 persons per legally permitted bedroom to reduce the overcrowding in the residential areas. So those are the changes to the ordinance that was put in the packet. And if the board is acceptable with that, we'd want a motion to approve. I will move to approve.
I second that.
Motion by Warner, second by Rocco. I would like to say that I really wish the state of Wisconsin let us do something more than what it's enabled us to do. And I do believe this is something we're going to have to review. And I would like to, that we review it next January at Plan Commission. And probably every January after that. This is not perfect, but it's what we've come up with and what we've spent a lot of time on. And it's not set in stone, it can be adjusted. And likely should be adjusted. All right, all those in favor? Opposed?
No,
Motion carries. Okay, 9B. Chapter 18. The licensing portion.
okay, so the licensing. Again, pretty straightforward. I think everyone hopefully has seen a copy of that. Due to some concerns we've had, we have discussed a change to section 18.54, which is license application requirements. Under 2A, we have that we would require a floor plan of the dwelling with all rooms identified and indicating the sleeping areas available for rent and maximum capacity accommodated therein for sleeping purposes. We have added that we are going to require the square footage of each room and area designating for sleeping purposes. And then on section 18.56, where we talk about license issuance and revocation, we want to make it very clear that for people that get violations, and you get 3 before we can suspend or revoke that license, we want to make it very clear that they are documented violations. So not just allegations. We need to see proof that it's an actual violation before we're going to do something about it. And those were the only other changes to what we had seen in the packet. We would, if the board's okay with that, we'd entertain a motion on that as well.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Cox,
Second.
second by Warner, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Okay, on to 10A. Amending the fee schedule.
So about once or twice a year, we look at our fee schedule. When we recreated chapter 18, we took the fee out of there. So if it changes, you don't have to go back and amend it by public hearing every year. So we're slowly getting away from putting the fees in the actual chapter themselves and more putting them in a fee schedule. So we took it out of chapter 18, we put it in the fee schedule. The recommendation was $750 effective July 1st and subsequent, what people call renewals, although they're not technically renewals, would be $400. So we can discuss that and see what we think about that. We also don't have an insufficient funds fee, so we're proposing that be set at 25. Every once in a while, we do have people that don't have enough in the account for, let's say, their utility bill or something. We don't have a road cut fee. So right now, somebody could go and cut that road open and not restore it, and taxpayers would put the bill on that. So we're looking at a road cut fee of $300 plus the $2,000 retainer. If the road is repaired, they get the $2,000 back. Same thing for work in a right of way, such as burying cable. And then we recently adopted a code to address demolition or the raising of structures. And when we did not set a fee at that. So we've been treating it as a regular zoning permit, which is $200. So this would just say $200 as well. Just something to keep in mind when you're looking at this, that for the statutes, our fees are to cover the actual cost of processing and not as a means to add revenue to our budget. So we can't add fees, to make some money off the taxpayers. So with that, there is a resolution in here. If you have any changes, we'd want to talk about that now. We did talk about making one change when we were in executive session. I don't know if we want to proceed with that or not, but we talked about increasing the short-term rental fee to $1,500 annually. And then using those funds for enforcement, software, meeting software. And then staff time for processing, and that would hopefully cover our costs moving forward here. If you are okay with that, we would just need to have somebody make a motion to amend the schedule as presented to revise the chapter 18 fee to $1,500, and then we could adopt it if there's no other concerns.
So moved.
Second that.
So we're reviewing all the fees, not just like, correct?
We're just reviewing the ones in red, the amended ones.
So if there's another fee I want to talk about, that'll be a different time, we should discuss that.
You should let me know, and then we can put that on our
Okay.
fall review.
Would love to do that.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, motion by Berto. Second by Shambo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, 10B. Rule compliance and advanced annual report.
So moved.
Motion by Berto. I'll second. Second by Val. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 10C, designating public depositories and signers.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Berto, second by Cox. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Discussion items, 11A, intergovernmental agreement.
So at the last meeting, we had talked about partnering with the town of Gibraltar for seasonal law enforcement services just through the summer months and then Fall Fest for about 2 hours a day. It would vary because of course, law enforcement doesn't want you to know when they're there. So sometimes they'd be in the morning, sometimes at night, sometimes in the afternoon. We wanted to discuss it a little more. Town of Gibraltar is here along with Officer Ryan to answer any questions that we might have on this. So this is, like I said, it would be $10,000 for the summer months. It would be 2 hours a day. And it would basically end Labor Day weekend with the exception of also serving on Fall Fest weekend. So do we have other questions for them? I know there was some question, I think, about when they would be here. So we can talk about that. And again, we've talked a little bit about this in the past. One of the, we used to have a police officer here. We actually had grant funding and we had law enforcement coverage and the grant ran out, that went away. I have been in conversations with Gibraltar, Ephraim and Liberty Grove about the idea of a Northern Door Police Unit. We've had a couple of meetings about that and how that would look. And we thought this was a good pilot to see, is it welcome? Does it work? Does it have an impact? So would you like to meet Gibraltar? Do you have questions for Gibraltar?
Yeah, obviously I wasn't, it's been brought up before, I wasn't here last meeting. But I don't know why this was suggested. It had to stem from something or somewhere, but why, is there something we're trying to solve?
Sure. So the previous board.
Yeah.
First of all, there have been discussions at the previous Parks Committee with some of the members of all law enforcement services. And then with the previous board in December, we adopted parking restrictions. No parking on the streets,
Right.
all these other things, and we had talked about how to enforce them. So I have been meeting with, like I said, the partners to carry it out. How are we gonna do it? And Gibraltar had offered, hey, our police chief is willing to work overtime 2 hours a day to give you guys a flavor of it to see if it's even something you want.
And it
Before
was
you
a
go.
recommendation from Parks,
From Parks, okay.
so they had initial conversations about it.
And so right now, the only police officers we see in town are county when they're in town catching speeders and stuff like that.
The only ones you
Right.
see are in county, however, I will say this, Ryan, and I have to be cautious because, it's not that Gibraltar is paying for service here, but Ryan has responded to calls here. He has helped us out.
Yep.
Just because there's a call goes off, he knows there's no deputy here, so he's been running here and covering our area as well. So,
And would the person enforce the short-term rental violations?
so Ryan would enforce the municipal code we designate him to enforce.
Like noise violations and so forth?
Ryan, do you want to comment on what you can?
Very much. I can introduce you. I didn't hear what you're.
Oh, I'm sorry. We've just been talking a lot about short-term rentals and it seems like one of the problems is the noise violations. I didn't know if that was something that you would be addressing.
Yeah, like I said, I would have to look at your ordinances and what the ordinance says and go by your ordinances. I don't know what they are right now. so.
And what the village would, if we sign this contract, would direct you to enforce.
Yeah, if you have the ordinance in place, then yes, I could enforce your noise ordinance and other ordinances that are in effect, but at this point, I can't. I don't know what your ordinances say or what you have on the books.
Right. We have to designate which codes he would enforce.
So we could not enforce some, he could enforce others. That'd be
I
the
think that's where
conversation.
That's what I'm wondering, like, what is it that we would want? What is the goal?
You know, I think if what we did earlier, and if we start going down that path, I don't know that STRs, in my opinion, would be the priority. I think it would be a presence in town and parking and just assisting. I cannot remember his name, but he used to be on nights for the county, and now he's working days. Is it Vanden Bogart?
Yeah,
Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so my sister who works nights got to know him over the years while he was on the night shift. Now he switched to days. And so I've been getting to know him and talking to him. And when he was in a couple of times this last week, I just brought up that Sister Bay was talking about doing this with Gibraltar. You know, what was his personal opinion on being a sheriff's deputy? And he did talk about how Ryan does fill in for the county if they're on a big call someplace else and something comes in, that Ryan and Gibraltar have been very generous that he can respond if it's important enough outside of the community. So like Julie was saying, he has had presence here. He said that he thought it was a great idea, and it was, as I talked about in closed session, when we were talking, I asked Don if he knew at full staff, you know, what that meant for coverage in all of Door County, and that meant 4 deputies from Southern Door to Gills Rock. And Vanden Bogart said that he thought it was great that we were kind of leaning this way and thinking about it, and it would take a little bit of pressure off of them to a certain degree, but everything still comes back down to priority. And, you know, there's a list of calls that they have to take, and they will bump other calls. So you could have a call that could get unanswered for a whole shift if other important calls come in. And I'm not saying that we can guarantee that when that happens, that Ryan would be here in the village or not. But again, I go back to kind of what I said last month. It was $10,000. We have the money. It was a good trial run. We've come up with another thing to kind of deal with STRs. Moving forward, it'll take a while to get that implemented. So I am still in favor of this. I guess my only question would be is, I mean, we talked about this last month. Time is now ticked away. The dollar amount, I presume, has changed because we are at the end of June. So it's no longer, we're only talking about 2 months plus Fall Festival now, right?
Well, it'd be July, August, part of September, and then Fall Fest.
Oh, I thought you said Labor Day.
I'm sorry, yes, what did I say? It'd be
Which is the
July,
end of August, right? Or beginning-
July, August through Labor Day,
Okay,
and then come back for Fall Fest.
right.
So instead of 2 hours day, why wouldn't we look at our busy times and plug in those weekends we know we have, I guess I don't quite understand. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm really just trying to understand what, a 2 hours a day pilot would show us. That's what I'm trying to
What it would
understand.
do, it would benefit both communities, because essentially they'd be working 10 hours, covering 10 hours for each community. Sister Bay has a call, I would break away from Gibraltar and take that call, and vice versa, and my times would vary that I would cover up here.
So how
So
does it change the relationship with the county sheriffs?
it doesn't. We work together, we help each other out. They're still gonna come here and help me if there's a call, and vice versa, I'm still gonna come up here and help them if there's a call. So, it's helping each other out. It's not replacing one or the other. It's providing a better service to the communities.
So you kind of just have a broader area that you're responsible for, is that a fair way to say it? Gibraltar and Sister Bay?
That would be a fair way, I guess. So essentially, you'd be getting, you'd be, have an officer that was able to answer calls for 10 hours a day. Not just, you're looking at it as 2 hours, but essentially, if there's a call that came up here, I would respond to it. And that would go towards that 2 hours or whatever, whether that's on a domestic for an hour or whatever. So you understand what I'm saying?
Because you're already in at Gibraltar,
What's
but
that?
we're pulling you away
Right.
already, kind of, but now it's more dedicated time specific to us, kind of.
So he's gonna have
Combined time.
he's gonna have a 10-hour shift, and if there's an accident in Sister Bay. He's gonna come here and respond to that, and it's gonna maybe consume an hour of his time. So that means he has an hour left he's gonna dedicate to us. Maybe that means. He comes back at the end of his shift and looks at parking, or maybe he responds to.
So I would need your guys' feedback as to what your problem areas are and when they are, so I can adjust to that.
Yeah, I think that's, and not gonna put any words in your mouth. I was wondering as well, what we would have you do. I mean, if there's an accident, we're gonna have coverage. If there's an accident in town or something is going on that is violent in nature, we're gonna have coverage. Somebody's gonna show up.
Ryan usually gets here
Right,
before.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, understood. But I mean that, and I'm not saying, well, look, that happens now. We should just keep doing that. But I don't know that we as a community need someone to sit on top of our ordinances and I mean, he would have more important things to do with his time than walk down the street and give people parking tickets. Like, I don't know that that's what we want to be as a community either. So there has to be a balance of, what would we truly have him here for? And I'm not trying to.
So I don't need anybody to tell me how to do my job. That's
Yeah,
my job to determine how to patrol and how to do my job out there. That's not your job to tell me how to enforce traffic and things like that.
No, I know that. Yeah, it was just the ordinances that you mentioned. You need to know our ordinances of what we want you to do. And that's where I was piggybacking off of that comment. Like, I wouldn't even know where to begin. Like, I don't know. Because there's always a fallout of that is it could be in some communities you go to, communities that, if you park in the wrong spot, you're gonna get a ticket. You just do, like, no matter what state you're in or city you're in, there are places like that. They get a reputation for that. And so I don't know if you mentioned parking, that's why I brought it up.
I think our biggest parking, the one in summer we get the most complaints about are when we'll get buses or trucks with campers parking down on Bay Shore Drive, taking up like 4 spots. Those are probably the most. ones we get.
Trucks and boat trailers that have already launched and it didn't go to long-term parking.
So I did talk to someone at the sheriff's department about parking in particular. And I know that Julie has said that, well, it's at too low of a level, but I mean, it was looped into the lieutenant, and he did indicate that with the signage the village has, the sheriff's department will enforce parking. I CC'd you in on that. So I think that could take care of the parking issue. I'll talk to some other people in public safety, and the nebulousness of just having 2 hours floating there, I don't know how much that would benefit.
Who did you speak to?
If I care to disclose that, I will disclose that, sir.
Oh, okay.
So. I think that we should maybe consider. Compensating Gibraltar for every time there's an incident up here and. And Gibraltar's sending somebody up here. That might make sense. But I don't see the need for this additional 2 nebulous hours a day, 5 days a week. I don't.
What about what Sarah mentioned, where the busy weekends, we, kind of almost pick where we might be able to contract.
Because
Where
it's
we-
about safety, which I would
Yeah.
presume that's what it is, then that would make sense to me, but. Yeah, I'm just,
I think we discussed this last time too, and we're going back to the same thing. The only things we're hearing are parking. I asked about crime rates, well, 911 calls went up, but that doesn't necessarily mean that all those 911 calls were crime, or that crime rates were, last time we discussed this, there was not enough justification for it besides the parking issue. And I think we're back to that again right now.
yeah, because I'm open to this, I just don't actually think this makes a lot of sense. That's what my issue is 2 hours a day. Randomly, I don't, I don't see a need for it. If it was dedicated time for when we know we're slammed, I would be
make more
really open
sense.
to that.
Yeah.
And I would actually love to look at and explore
After the
that.
4th of July, every day we're slammed.
Well, then how's 2 hours a day? I think that's how's 2 hours a day helping us,
I think
right?
it's, I think it's just a presence. If people see him driving around, I presume that we would request like what we have in the past. When we've hired somebody, take a walk through the park, just talk to people, or people want to talk to you, and you're just here and you're just part of the community, and it doesn't mean, that you can't do other things or you won't get a call or whatever, but I think it's just a presence. Do we have a high crime rate? No. But that doesn't mean that we may not want a presence.
Could I ask, how many times a week on average in the summer would you say you come up to Sister Bay? Is it every day?
It's early in the summer this year, but I know last year I spent a lot of times up here on domestics. I've been up here on disorderly conduct subjects. I've been on some other disturbances nearby here, across the streets last year a few times. So I was up here quite a few times last year.
So a couple times a week, do you think?
Yeah, I've been up here in accidents. Yeah, I'd say at least, yeah.
I mean, I hear sirens all the time, ambulances, it's almost daily. I don't know if you go to all those calls, I don't know where. But that,
Just coming from Jeremy, where you're located.
oh, I know, well, in Ephraim, I hear them go by my office every day too. I just feel like there's a lot going on with emergency services. I don't know what all those,
There's a lot of sirens from.
all those calls are, but does seem like there's a lot happening.
So the calls that you come to Sister Bay for, are they included then in the sheriff's report that we get quarterly?
I can't answer that. I have no idea what you
Okay.
get.
Yes, we get reports of all the calls that come through, and if Ryan is responding, it's still showing up on.
It still is, okay, so it's included in those reports.
It's a 911 call.
So you don't realize that Ryan is the one responding, you
Right.
just see it as a call.
I just wanted to make sure that it was being tabulated somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind giving it a try.
If I may speak, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just wanted to, Travis Tyson, the administrator for the Town of Gibraltar. I just wanted to express the discussions that Julie and I had. It's based on a pilot. This will be able to give you guys a really good idea on whether or not you want to proceed forward with it without it costing a substantial lot of money. Ryan is a very experienced officer. He's got over 25 years of experience, and I think he would be able to give you that presence that you were looking for. He'd be able to give you the experience that maybe to assist you with how you can put together your enforcement coming down the road, things that he's helped Gibraltar with. And then be able to make a really good decision in the future. This really worked out, or we didn't get a lot of feedback on it, but for a minimal cost and a experienced officer to be able to present that to you, might be able to give you that opportunity. So.
What would the, I think you explained that, what would the potential end goal be? Kind of similar to what Gibraltar has set up, is that what is that the purpose of this pilot?
I can't speak for Sister Bay's end goal, but I can speak for Gibraltar's. We are constantly looking at expanding our police department because of how effective it is. Not just for crimes, we don't even look at it as crimes, but the presence. Ryan's there to talk to people, he's able to guide people, he's able to be there for start of runs and help with bike races, and he's able to help at the park whenever there's missing persons. We have drone surveillance that he operates. He works directly with the sheriff's department and their drug task unit. So it's a broad range of things that he performs. So we look at it as, well, it's benefiting the community from that sense. We don't look at it from individualizing, saying, well, he's out there, he's getting those parking tickets. We don't look at that. Looking at the compliance that has generated because he's out there issuing a ticket here and a ticket there. There's no good compliance. We don't have trailers parking downtown. They all go to the parking lot because they know they're going to get a ticket if they don't. So that he brought compliance to it, not an image of, well, don't do that, you're going to get a ticket. So part of it's the discussion, being there, talking to people, but then also operating the compliance. So it's a whole package, and we're looking at expansion. So I can't answer for Sister Bay, but I think when you look at it, at least you'd be able to take this experience for only a few weeks and then look at it and say, it was beneficial, it wasn't beneficial, or, you know, and then make a determine from there. It could lead to, like Julie said, further discussions on whether or not we look at multiple joint police force up here, where we then have a lot faster response times. There's 4 officers in the sheriff's department. If there's an incident in Sturgeon Bay or down in that area, they may all be, you know, there may be only one floating up here covering Liberty Grove, Gibraltar, Bailey's. So if we have something a little bit more direct, a little bit more home-based, it tends to give you that better sense of security for your residents. And that's what we experience in Gibraltar.
Does it create friction between the county and the villages or towns? Like I just don't know how you like our sheriff's department at the county level, how you interface together, like
We work hand in hand.
you're
together.
totally a team.
We were on the drug task force together, and on the team together with them, and you shop with a cop with them. Yeah, so we are always, where in fact, I was at the sheriff's office today. So yeah, it's.
Ryan gets deployed often with his drone. We do have the drone, so he's been deployed to help the sheriff when they had the shanties float away. So Ryan was able to make sure that there was nobody in there while they were floating away.
They called me to Egg Harbor for missing persons with it. Yeah, so there's no type of animosity or anything that between us. Like, I probably know what you're talking about, where you hear some agencies kind of clash. That's not the way it is up here.
And the same with our board. We allow Ryan the flexibility. We don't say, here's your border, stay within them. We look at it as a larger picture of law enforcement. Law enforcement, criminals don't know borders. People don't know borders. His enforcement shouldn't either. So we allow, whenever there's a call that he needs to assist, we want to make sure that there's backup for the county officers and that he provides a service because it benefits Gibraltar in the end.
On to Nate's point, what, like what you had asked.
What the sheriff?
Like, or fund, like reimbursing anytime
Per call.
per call, like,
Yeah.
does that do the same kind of thing?
I mean,
Or
because
not
of-
necessarily, this,
yeah, I mean, like if you're Gibraltar's expending resources to respond to Sister Bay, that's something that is worthwhile, in my opinion. I don't think that the presence on the street is going to matter for Sister Bay. I don't think that we've got a crime issue. But I do see the value in having better response times when there are issues, but I think that's beyond the scope of the agreement you've worked out here, Julie.
I think it depends on what we want to put in an intergovernmental agreement. I do just want to make one little clarification. Nate, I know somebody you had talked to said that the sheriff would enforce local ordinances,
So parking ordinances.
parking ordinances. And as you know, I said, no, that's not what the statutes say. So I asked Randy, and Randy had talked to the sheriff, to the actual
Chief deputy.
chief deputy. And Tammy, the sheriff, was copied on it, and they said the sheriff is not in the practice of enforcing local ordinances and is unlikely to change that. If contracted to do so under an overtime request, they will, but otherwise they will not. So, and there are other options where you could, there's different situations, but no, they're not gonna step in and enforce ours. My interactions with the sheriff was if somebody's violating parking code and I'm like, hey, can you tell me, I only see the license plate number and I'm like, can you tell me who owns it? And they're like, no, because until you have parking signs up here, we're not gonna tell you the name so you can write them a ticket, get their signs up. And then we'll tell you who owns that vehicle so you can write them a ticket. So we can write them a ticket. That's how the interaction has been with the sheriff so far. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the opportunity to have help when we need it and pay for it, should be obligated. I'm a little cold on the idea of presence. Just because there are areas of the world and there's areas of the country that absolutely need presence for deterrent. I don't believe we need presence for deterrent here. Because so far, knock on wood, we don't have a whole lot to deter. Maybe that's just because we're lucky or because we're not that exciting of a community. I'm not sure. So for me, I don't know that. I don't know. And it's probably the most unpopular thing that you're hearing right now. And I don't mean it to be because I have utmost respect for you and your role but I just think the idea of having presence, it just rings hollow to me. It just doesn't sound great.
I think a 5-year-old that walked away with a sticker would disagree with you, but.
Look, I got a 5-year-old grandson and he gets a badge every time he goes, sees a sheriff and he loves it. He tells me he's a junior deputy and he can tell me what to do. It's true, he does. But I love that and I love the interaction, I do. But.
Well, just to move this along, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the intergovernmental agreement for the seasonal law enforcement. As presented with the dates. That Julie mentioned.
I second that motion.
Second by Chantal. All those in favor?
I.
Opposed?
No.
Nays carried. Okay, 11B, amend street map for Coleman.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Berta, second by Cox. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 11C, conditional use permit, motorcycle rentals, not actually motorcycle rentals, but whatever the specific name is, at Citrus Bay Petrol Rental in Johnson.
So, Mr. Johnson has proposed to rent, what they call slingshots. They're actually classified as a motorcycle. But they're really a three-wheeled, kind of look like a recreational vehicle. They're called slingshots by Polaris. They would be at the mobile home gas station. The plan commission has recommended conditions. There are some things that have to be done on the property, before it can happen, such as, the dumpster has to be relocated to the final location. We have to make sure that the parking is okay, but it has been through, planning commission and they have recommended approval.
One thing on the 1, 2, 3, the fourth bullet point, no display shall occur by the sign by the road. One display vehicle is permitted in front of the building. I think that sentence needs to continue on to say it has to be within 20 feet of the building perimeter. That's the code. Heidi? Okay. All right.
There are motion to approve,
Make a motion.
motion by Cox,
Second.
second by White. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
No.
Carries. 11D, crop agreement. The Wilson property.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Really?
Mr. Psalms got a hold of us.
Combs.
I'm sorry, yes. Got a hold of us and he said, last year when this was presented, we had presented him basically the same agreement you have here. This year he came back and he said, the dates are wrong. He said we actually harvest from June to August. So that would be one change to this agreement. And then he said, I don't want to harvest all of that. I just want to do a portion of it. So he revised it, it's about 20 acres that he would actually want to do. So I just wanted you to be aware of it, it's less land than shown in there, we would make sure the agreement is changed to reflect that.
So wasn't the point that we would keep all of it maintained, so isn't by doing part of it, not?
Well, you are not having anybody maintain it now, and you didn't last year either.
No, we were just maintaining the orchard.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And right now with hay prices, so he said it's been so dry, hay prices are so low, they can't find hay, they can't get money for hay. So they want to get whatever they can, and it helps us by maintaining them. pretty good. All right,
All right, so we had a motion and a second already. Okay. All those in-
Don, who seconded it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Liquor license renewal.
So first you have an initial request from Kitchen LLC at 10440 Orchard Drive
Okay,
for
I got it.
Class B liquor license.
Okay,
So moved.
I'll second.
motion by
Just beer.
Berto, second by Warner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
maybe do I recuse myself from that one?
For this one?
Yeah. Or Lily too.
No, you're not a beer license. So for the
Okay.
one we just approved, no.
Okay.
Okay, so this is F.
Yes. So annual renewal, I tried to present this in the most efficient way possible to consolidate these motions. I grouped all of your licensees by license type. So I'm looking for a motion for each group to approve. If at all possible, when there is a tobacco license requested as well, that is noted in the grid. So you can choose to approve the licenses, including the tobacco there, or make a motion at the very end to approve tobacco separately.
Should I recuse?
Okay, so if everybody is okay, there are some people that should recuse themselves at the appropriate point. Nobody can make you do that, but it's just best practice to do it, so I'll just, Heidi gave me a nice cheat sheet here.
Okay.
I have many comments to make before we get to motions. I'm sorry, this is not
That's
gonna be
okay.
a quick one. Done.
I don't need a
Is this
quick one.
speech?
Whenever you make a motion,
This
I'm
is-
seconding it right
Okay,
away.
Says. So I did talk to Julie and Heidi about this today. Heidi and I have talked about it in the past also. And if you go down the list of the business name, the agent, and then you go down farther to see who has operators licenses. Okay, so I'm just gonna name a bunch off right now. Piggly Wiggly, Rana LLC as Sister Bay Petro, Zeke's Village Market, Boathouse on the Bay, Northern House, Churchill Inn, Fat Belly, Goose and Twigs, McAvoy's, Crane's Kitchen, Zero Sum, and Wild Tomato. Each and every one of those businesses does not have operators licenses. Now, if you are the agent and if you are married, your spouse also, it's a, what, a privilege?
It's a license of privilege.
License of privilege. So even though, and Heidi is in the future going to include that in the grid so that we know that there are two people now that are holding a license. But by law, the agent or somebody who has an operator's license must be on premise to serve any alcoholic beverage. Okay, so all the businesses that I mentioned do not have somebody that has an operator's license. Now, Heidi did say that every year, and I'll use the Boathouse as an example, they paid for a whole bunch of operators licenses and haven't gotten in the paperwork yet to Heidi. So there will have to be postings, publishing for those operators. No, it's
We
only
don't-
the agent.
We don't publish operator applications, we
Okay.
publish liquor licenses.
Liquor license, okay. So And then she has to go to these businesses. And like tooth extraction, have them sign the documentation in front of her. And I don't think that the Heidi should be wasting her time doing that. I think a letter needs to be written that's included next year and say, if you are an agent and you have no operator's licenses, and if you need to sign, if you don't have any operators licenses or applications in, you need to sign this form that states as the agent that you are on premise every single hour that that business is open, and you sign it. Otherwise, you need to get your operators licenses in, just like everybody else did. And we do it in one fell swoop.
Now, the board has granted authority to me to issue operators licenses outside of this renewal period, because there are always businesses that hire mid-year. So I just have to perform the background checks and do that check. So I have that ability now, but it is nice to do them all in one big group, right when the license year starts.
So I guess I'm looking for direction from this board that Heidi do that for the licensing next year.
And for-
Yes.
Yeah, and for this year, just, we still should communicate with these folks at some point this year.
Yeah, I have to follow.
Okay, you're
that.
gonna.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
because I delivered all of the licenses to them
got it.
anyway, so I'm going to the business and I can collect those operators applications.
I mean, they're in the business of selling liquor. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay. That was my speech name. I'm trying to streamline. I find it ridiculous as this being part of your business, that just like the STR, you can't do the paperwork.
So do you want to start with the one at the top of the page, Class A licenses? This is the sale of intoxicating liquors and beer.
I'll recuse myself.
Thank you.
Make a motion.
So this is package sales.
I don't have to recuse myself from any of this, so,
Nope.
I'll make a motion to approve those.
I'll
Motion by
second.
Cox, second by Shampoo, all those in favor,
Aye.
opposed, motion carries. Okay,
Where's Peach Bar?
Yeah, where is it?
Class B.
It's at a state level.
Okay, do I have a motion to, let's see if there's anybody,
Yeah, I can make a motion.
okay, motion by Cox,
Second.
second by Roscoe, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is where you might want to step on, Sarah, if you so choose.
We don't step out, just step out.
Well, you're supposed to, none of you really do need to go out in the audience. It's really, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Now, I'm not gonna name names, but somebody did sit next to me after they recused themselves and tried whispering in my ear aggressively.
All right,
Years ago.
next one.
Okay, so this is the Class C.
June's Juicery asking for a wine license.
Yep.
Where is June's Juicery?
It's the house in front of the Peach Barn that's being converted into a restaurant.
Oh, that's June's, okay.
Who's this June?
We named it after June also. Who we bought the house from.
I'll make a motion. We approve that.
Second.
Motion by Bell, second by Cox, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so for the next category, I do have one request. You must show proof that your license is under your control for the entire licensing year, and there's one business on this list, which is Crane's Kitchen, who is leasing the property. That lease expires in January, so I'm asking if the board would be willing to grant a license contingent on receipt of proof that that license will be renewed. He has until October 1st to send a letter of intent to renew to his landlord. So we don't have that yet, but I don't know how you feel about granting a license contingent on me getting it, or at least at this point approving a license through January when he does control those premises. That makes sense,
Yeah.
Denise?
Yeah.
I don't have any problem.
Okay.
I believe in you.
That was the only oddity on that one.
Okay, so this is class B, non-class C.
Make a motion, approve.
Motion by Cox,
Second.
second by Warner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Then finally, class B licenses from just here.
Okay. Class B.
Motion to approve.
Motion by
Second that.
Cox, second by Shampoo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay,
And then we have a motion, please, for the operators licenses, those who are requesting 1-year licenses and 2 years licenses as indicated.
Oh, I can't remember. I scrolled past that page. Do I have to recuse again?
I think so.
Are my employees on there? I can't remember. Oh, yeah, Danny's on there.
Yeah, and I kind of recused too.
Yeah, so for that, just the 2 of them.
Okay.
Done.
Make a motion.
motion by Cox,
A second.
second by White. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay. That takes care of all that, so then we're on to 11G, acceptance of the 2022 financial statements.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Berto, second by White, all those in favor?
Lily seconded it.
I'm sorry.
Let's go, sorry.
All those in favor, right?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And to the financial report,
What page is that one?
229.
Thank you.
The only question I had was there was almost a $4,000 bill. I'm presuming it was the water fountain that was a picture to put in the water fountain in the bathrooms.
To add that second water fountain,
Yeah,
the water refill station.
yeah, it says park fountains, even
Yes,
mechanical.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Do I have a motion that we pay our bills?
Make motion,
Motion
second.
by Roscoe, second by White. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Comprehensive plan, contract and scope of services.
All right, this is to enter into a contract with Bay Lake Regional Plan Commission to help us with our comprehensive plan update. The total project is about 39.7. We did get a grant, so the overall final cost to Bay Lake would be 25,000. And if we sign this, we will be starting as soon as coastal management releases the funds.
So on page 242, which is the contract. On the third whereas, I believe there's a typo. The project and the character of the services to be performed by the commission here under are consonant. I think it's consistent with the powers it possesses and the duties and functions. So if that is corrected, I make a motion.
I have another edit.
Okay.
When I was looking at the comprehensive plan, I really feel like the board, I think the proposed project plan shows that it only comes to the board for next spring. I'm trying to find the page that's on the Gantt chart. I really think there should be more frequent updates, or at least another, we should ask them to come at least one time, maybe in the next 4 months, to really make sure that this is aligned with how I just don't want to get the whole plan at the end and then say, great. I'd like us to be a little bit more involved, because I think this is a pretty important initiative we're working on.
I think the plan commission will be working with them, correct?
Yeah, that goes to the planning commission, but at the same point, when can we get board involvement on there in the front end? Because this does matter to the village for a very long time. Is that just a matter of having board members come to the planning commission?
Yeah, so what happens is it's the plan is actually, I don't want to say a byproduct of the plan commission, but it's under their guidance. And then normally what we do with the plan is when it's completed, they recommend adoption to the board. However, during that process, board members are invited to the meetings, they're invited to come and participate and to show up. So that's how we've done the plans in the past. If it's under a certain, like the outdoor rec plan is pretty much steered by the outdoor rec plan and transportation committee, who makes recommendation to the parks committee, who makes recommendation to the board. So we don't, and then what happens is we just have a final presentation at the board level. This would be the same thing. We could add it in there. Might affect our costs, I don't know.
Can we do a joint board plan meeting on the front end of this so that we can get that input?
I mean, I'm like, if it's economic development, if these are the areas, like, these are all of our computers shut down. All of our like most critical, this is our growth plan to me. I just. Yeah, I would appreciate a way to at least make sure that we're all providing guidance at some point or getting feedback at some point, whatever that mechanism looks like. I trust you guys to figure that out. Just a request.
Okay, kind of like the facilities plan where we reach out, we try and get input. You know, if we get it, great. To come back at the end with it, so we can do that.
I have a question, the comprehensive plan, I was reading through this, includes, a new post office, and has it been determined that we are getting rid of the post office downtown? Yeah.
It may be relocated and that's part of the facilities planning.
Right, but do we go ahead and hire these people to make that plan when we don't know if we're actually gonna be moving it yet?
This is not the same kind of plan, a comprehensive plan is not as detailed as a facilities plan, am I correct?
Right, yeah.
Okay, it's a much bigger scope. It's a lot of data, at least the last one was this thick. They pull from the census, it's demographics, it's just all kinds of graphs and charts and whatever that most of that you don't access very often. But it's more of how do we want to see this area of the village, its land use? Or there's a transportation a chapter and stuff, so it's not detailed. It's more of an overview.
It's a roadmap of where you wanna see yourself at the end of 20 years, so. Economic development, usually you're saying we want to focus more on food systems or whatever, or maybe not realize some, concerned about the future of tourism. We want to diversify, we want to attract industry. Maybe that's and so then there's ideas about how you could do that. And yeah, it's not specific, it's a very general how you develop over the next.
And then plan commission should be using that document as we move forward, rewrite the code. People come in and want to do different things with the property that they own. Well, does that fall into the vision that the comprehensive plan has?
Yeah, you're supposed to make your decisions based on the adopted plans.
It does have some legal implications. And from what you referenced there, like how people it can come back and bite you if you don't do it right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like an ordinance, like a zoning ordinance. But it's like when rezoning, for example, your zoning maps are supposed to reflect your land use maps. And we recently had an issue where they did not. So there are some ramifications that way.
I would say it's a very broad brushstroke.
And again, this is one of those projects that was started last year, actually last spring before I even got here, we started the conversations. And then we applied for the grant. And then it just has taken this long to get this far on, and this is kind of a long ongoing thing.
I hear what you're saying, Sarah. I do think that a joint meeting on the front end of it would be a good thing and a purpose, just a single purpose meeting.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna have enough to talk about without going to everything else.
Like a little bit of brainstorming around who do we want to be in 20 years? Like, what does that look like to provide guidance as the plan commission oversees it?
Sure, well, we do have to have that visioning, mission, that
Yeah,
It's kind of your kickoff or your beginning point, which we'll make sure the board is at.
thank you.
We have,
Had a motion by Bruno. Is there a second?
we have a second, did you?
I'll second that.
Okay. Thank you. Second by Chantal. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So is Dan Plansky with us?
He has dropped off the meeting.
He was for a long time.
We won.
I did?
He gets
We
up
all
late.
did.
Oh,
We
he-
did collectively.
Oh, I can try and answer some questions, please. Maybe.
I'll just wait till Nate gets to the next.
On the staff reports.
So on page 270, item number 4. Dan writes, the utility department has been listening to hydrants and valves this week, trying to locate a leak. We have been at an all-time high with water going out. Is that because of the leak or are we having high water sales? I don't know what he's talking about.
Both. Both, we have seen record highs of water consumption. But then we also have a really high loss where we can't figure out where a leak is. So they've been digging up pipes, they've been restoring them, they've been going through with equipment to try and find the leak. They've been doing this for weeks and they cannot find the leak. So
Do you have any idea how big the leak is?
I forget how many gallons per day, it was quite a bit of money.
So I know that when. My family was involved in golf courses for years, so there was lots of leak finding and all that. And the best way to find a leak is to actually see a puddle of water there. So I don't know if we can ask our citizens, hey, do you see a big puddle of water? Because that water does go somewhere. I mean, like up here, we do have the limestone, which is gonna drain it, but it's still, it's that much water.
Yeah, I don't know, they're,
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll call tomorrow.
Also on that same page, number 12, as we continue to build large homes on the ridge line, there is a greater need to improve flow to that area to maintain water pressure for fire protection. From the plan commission perspective, can we limit development if we can't maintain pressure?
yes, and that's what we do with planning, right? You say this area should not be served because it can't. This area should not have homes because it cannot effectively be served or even protected. So I know when I was talking to Dan, there's certain areas where it's so difficult to get the water up there.
No,
The
but what
flow is so-
if water is already up there? And he's talking about continuing to build large homes on the ridge line, and we're talking about Hillcrest and Trillium.
He's back in that area, yeah.
I mean,
Don doesn't get any water, which they can away.
do we,
We could limit it.
Are we talking about children?
And I think that's a really good point, due to concerns about water pressure, we limit what goes up.
so I would like to see that as a plan commission agenda issue.
I think it's part of your plan.
Oh, the comprehensive plan? Do we need
Okay,
to?
I also think the plan commission needs to be aware of this, and it's in the record that we had a conversation or an FYI about it.
I think it would be also helpful for Dan to delineate the areas he's talking about. Because the ridge line, I mean, like until you said Trillium, I'm like, okay, where exactly is the ridge line?
Well, right, I had underlined ridge line before I got to the next sentence, and when it said Trillium, and yeah.
Yeah, I know we've had some discussions about possible annexations out in that area, and the question is. Geez, is that a good idea if we're having difficulty servicing? And that's why we look at planning and where. You don't take land that you can't service, if it's gonna be too expensive, or if you can't. Get them out public sewer and water. Okay, Denise, I've got that. noted.
Okay, and then on page 271, number 3, Dan inspected the road patches that were put down in Fieldcrest from the landmark real estate and development housing project. Are they okay? If he inspected them, he doesn't say if they're good, they're bad. Is there a problem?
So, they were restored, Dan felt they were okay. A citizen keeps complaining they're not okay, but in Dan's professional opinion, they are okay, they are
I
restored.
mean, is it a bump or is it a dip?
I think it's a bump, a little bit of bump. See,
It'll
originally,
settle then.
yeah,
right?
originally they didn't, this guy said they didn't have enough cones out there. In the last week, this man has made a lot of complaints about to the Marina Committee. to other things. This was just another thing he had complained about. So I think Dan documents, what he looks at and kind of what he did all.
Okay. And number 8, received a number of complaints about the large potholes on Westwood. Upon inspection, I can see over 580 feet of road that has just deteriorated. I will add the patching of this road to next year's budget. If the road is that bad, why are we patching? Why isn't this moving up to get either reconstructed or at least milled and repaved?
So this, if I remember right, this was in the Parks Committee packet for June that was canceled. To, I think, mill and pave a section of that.
Okay. All right. And still on that same page under Parks and Grounds, number 7, WPS removed light poles behind the post office and set up new service. We have been on temporary power there for over 5 years and not getting.
Yes, they caught up with us.
I mean, what were wrong with the light poles?
They were, I guess they put him in there just. as it
Who,
says,
WPS?
WPS did
Okay,
temporarily. I think they were gonna come back and do something permanent back there. Or maybe I think they were back there because we weren't sure what we were doing with that area. And I think everybody just kind of forgot about it.
okay.
And then when Dan was talking to them about, all these light upgrades, trying to get them to go with more efficient lights and stuff. That's when they called it out and said, hey, by the way, we're done paying for your power back here.
Well, all they had to do was say so, right?
Okay. The lights looked really bad though. They're pretty shabby.
Yeah, I
lights, so it's kind of a good thing they're gone.
Yeah.
Dan and the Parks crew have done, it's been a crazy summer for them. They're doing great things. That was the only staff report. Did we get to? Oh yeah, we did approve the road name.
And it was fast.
Okay. Committee appointments. I have not. I see that we have a few people that have expressed interest. I'd like to talk to them. I would expect to do some sort of appointment, probably next month. But not this month yet.
There. As village president, you may talk to whomever you like for however long you like. But as plan commission chair, I am not interested in any of the 3 applicants who are listed. And I would like to wait a while longer or continue to advertise to find the right person for that committee. We have a committee of 6, we're 1 person short. It is a huge time commitment. And I am looking for a certain kind of person. Not saying that we'll get that. But none of these people kind of fit that bill or have the background in which I think would be appropriate.
I guess I would say I'm willing to wait a bit longer. Probably not as long as you'd like, but some.
So
We'll
if,
see.
depending upon what happens, if we want to still continue to advertise somehow for that position. That would be great. If staff chooses to do something else, or Nate, you have a different suggestion, that's fine. There is also a person who has applied on here who is a current STR owner who has violations with the village, and I don't think that would be appropriate to advance.
Okay.
About parks, we need more people to have a quorum, right? If anybody misses, we can't have a parks meeting. So is there any way we could appoint anybody to parks?
I mean, I did talk to the parks chair and I said that that's the highest priority there. think we go one more month and then we come up with that plan. I understand your point. Allison, that's,
I mean, I would be happy to appoint one person tonight to Parks. So we can have a next meeting, because I don't know that we can miss July
okay.
also.
You have a feeling on who that would be, Denise, since it's,
I do, it's Mr. Aaron's.
okay,
I would agree with Mr. Aaron's.
okay.
And I will make sure to be at the next meeting.
So at least then we'll have four.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
if something happens, we still have three for a quorum.
Okay, well then,
Sorry, can I just ask a question? Do we have to have a basis for proof or recommendations or no? You guys just know these individuals and I'm just asking.
Has been on the Parks Committee already.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's,
I
okay,
know him personally.
Okay.
He's a good fit for the park committee.
Yeah, he's been on there for
perfect.
the end of a term for somebody who
yeah,
couldn't, I can't even remember who he replaced, but yeah.
Okay.
Sharon.
Oh, Sharon Dorsey.
So was that a motion by Lily or a motion by Denise, seconded by Lily?
Denise second. For Jerry.
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so that means we will also not do any further work on the outdoor rec plan for trails. for another month.
Then I think the ad just needs to run again for another month, right?
For plan commission only?
No, and ad hoc, yeah.
Yeah, I'd also like to get those as you get responses.
Yeah. Resident yearly meeting, open resident.
Well, it says resident or citizen, so ad hoc outdoor rec to citizens, so they could be from out of town, they don't have to be Sister Bay. Because I think it's, if you scroll down to page 274, maybe it's the next page.
There was, were you there for that, Don, when we talked about that? There was a little discussion about that.
About say it was one.
No, you're good, yeah.
So you're looking to advertise again for zoning board of appeals?
So it'll say like one resident, two citizens for each.
And I'm assuming parks then?
Yes.
So if anybody knows anybody that might be interested, you know, send them somebody's way and.
Planning commission and parks.
All of them, they want us to run the ad for more.
So are
We actually had, this is the first time that I've been, that we actually had good.
There's a lot of people that have shown interest.
I guess
We're not-
I'd like you to get some response, maybe like when they come in and not.
I think the deadline was
Oh, I can't remember.
couple days before we
Yes.
got it.
what is our process then? Because I mean, when people express interest. Like. I don't have any say probably in any of these folks because they're none of my committees, or committees that I serve on, but. What is our process? How are we communicating? If we have people who are interested, what's the criteria by which we're picking from?
They're
Just a
supposed to,
comment,
they're supposed to send a letter of intent to the village.
which many did, some did.
And then I think,
Is there an interview with the chair and the president I mean,
I've been trying to talk to everybody
Okay.
beforehand.
Usually in the past,
Yeah,
yes.
that's-
Okay.
That's how I,
There's
that's
a
how I.
meeting.
so
You know,
Okay.
Nate could, as president, could meet with everybody and make a recommendation. But as plan commission chair, I could say, I don't like your recommendation.
It's
Makes
not
sense.
wise to go against your committee chairs, although once in a while you have.
That's not all you have to, yeah. And there will be under
Committee
committee reports.
reports. Coastal byways.
I don't think we have anybody there anymore.
The CDC, we don't have emergency.
Those byways is Patrice, but I think you just got like.
No, I can't do that one. I told Nate.
Yeah,
Oh.
Did we
Yeah,
do
so
it?
that's- we
He
need
said
to-
Mondays and I.
that's right. We needed it. I was gonna bring it up here. Can,
Well, that's the first I heard of it, because I know they still have you on, because I didn't attend the meeting, because I thought you were on there.
we also need to make sure that we get DCTZ updated on our numbers. Can somebody step in for coastal byways? That's a Monday morning meeting?
I'm at work at 6 AM.
Don,
Not even a chance.
Don,
I got 7 right now. 6, sorry, plus board, that's 7.
Everybody has board doesn't count us.
So I have 6. Plus,
I'm up
I'm not
to
even a
5.
resident, I gotta be an SBA.
Yeah, you
marketing.
volunteered last month for
Yeah.
2 more, Allison.
we would have known last month.
What is this
We would have done
Coastal byways?
coastal byways.
Is it what, does it mean like twice a year?
It's once a month.
Is it really?
It's rotating location, I believe.
It's a tourism group, so you,
Oh, I just don't.
somebody that's more. tourism aligned.
I guess we'll let it be vacant for the time being until we can coax one of you to do it.
It is directly tied to tourism.
Yes.
That's Lily, huh?
It could be, but.
Monday morning is, yeah.
Monday mornings are night mornings for me are hard.
Is it Monday morning? Yeah.
9 a.m.
And is. and
Oh,
where-
9
where do you-
AM, not even at the
where-
crack, like before the day starts.
Where do you have to go for it?
It rotates, usually
Really?
you from, but it rotates.
Um,
Like Harbor sometimes, Fish Creek sometimes.
I
Well,
literally have no
what do you
reason to
think,
say
what do you
no.
think about changing it to have staff attend? I mean.
Yes.
Janelle is,
Sure.
yeah,
Yes.
Janelle kind of
Yeah.
works with SBAA,
That's
so
a
maybe
great
we
idea.
would
That's
fix
a
that
great
for-
idea.
Yes, that's a really good
I
recommendation.
think that a lot of us are tapped out on
Yeah.
committee.
To the administrative assistant.
Yeah.
I don't know about Janelle, I think.
Well, I got 9 o'clock meetings that day. It, you know, I really support what they're doing, but it always conflicts with, is it Green Tree that meets at 9? Village Hall meets at 9.
Village Hall.
Village Hall.
Village Hall meets at 9.
I mean, they could.
That's
they
on
could have a-
Tuesdays.
A further conversation.
Yeah, let's have a further conversation. Let's, can we agree to delegate it to staff and then we figure that out?
Yeah.
Would the board trust me if I figure that out
Yes.
before the next meeting?
Yes, we trust you.
I mean, I know that's a powerful committee, great influence on.
Okay, so we're gonna assign that to the administrative assistant.
No,
Oh, staff.
staff and we're gonna
I'll
have
follow
a
up.
conversation.
I would do it for, I would actually do it if, I learned this, earlier about negotiations in our previous meeting. I would do it, pay $500 for that session. Nope, okay.
It's just, you know,
Let's throw it out there.
I'm already the alternate on there, but I've never been able to, well, I used to attend before I started going to the Village Hall Planning Task Force, but now that we have the Village Hall Planning Task Force, I can't attend these, but I am the
Is
alternate
it a
on there.
1 hour meeting or is it like forever?
You know, I've only participated by Zoom.
Okay.
They're not very long meetings. Their big thing
Can
right
people
now is,
still go by Zoom?
I have been able to, but I haven't done it for a couple months since like Sarah.
Yeah, I
started
went to
doing it.
2.
Well, you're on it.
No, I'm not.
She wasn't
Patrice is on it. I was on it for my 2-month stint
Oh, yeah.
and then got
Okay.
reappointed to other
I'm not.
committees.
There's no.
The main, it's definitely tourism focused. The main topic that has been covered is the coloring book.
Yeah, no, I'm on.
And I would highly recommend a staff attend. Because it is important to be coordinated, but I don't.
Okay,
Yeah,
No.
Emergency Management Planning Committee
Has not met.
And
Finance
we
Committee.
can't, and just real.
Go ahead.
Nothing I was saying, we can't meet them until we get a new emergency management director at the county.
Okay,
We're never gonna get that plan done.
Finance Committee, you saw what we reviewed in that, that meeting.
Yeah.
Fire Board,
we're meeting Monday for the first
Yeah.
time.
Ad hoc Green Tier.
We met Monday. What is the report? Maybe that what's it called?
So you have to submit an annual report to the Wisconsin DNR, and that's what we worked on. Staff will be finishing that up this weekend, submitting it on behalf of the committee.
The staff were amazing.
Finished it.
Thank you so much.
Finished it at the beginning.
Historical Society,
I have not met with them yet. So I'm brand new to that.
Library Commission,
We met last Tuesday. The minutes are in the document, nothing to report.
Marina Committee,
I want to note 2 of us were left out of the minutes of being in attendance.
At the
Patrice and
By
I were there.
Marina, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I can fix
we
that.
even welcomed them.
I was in such a rush to get it done for the packet. Come on.
Really just, got updates on progress for the boathouse. That's 1 or 2 weeks away from having the new slips in. The new, I think there's 3 40-foot slips, there's new ones, but it was delayed because of moving some gas lines and stuff like that. We also removed, the biggest news of the meeting and month was we removed the no fishing signs in the marina because there was some controversy. So we are now allowing fish inside the marina, so now the complaints will be between the boat owners. Who's hanging their lines and the fisher people.
Why did you guys decide to change
Because
that?
we kind of didn't, Dave actually called the DNR and got a warden who said, no, it's actually, you can't restrict it, it's public land. They
Don't
can't."
make the phone call.
Yeah, so that was, so it,
Fishing, it's like the 10-year-olds.
yeah, there's a couple of little kids, no, I understand, no, it's, so we're good, everybody, and so we said, okay, that's what happened. But that's really it, and then but we did agree to reduce our rent for the boathouse to our tenant by 1/4 because he hasn't been able to use it.
But could he not walk to it?
There was no gas to it for a long time, and there was no services, so they had to cut the water, they had to cut the gas, and by the time.
Because it doesn't say that in the minutes, and I
Yeah.
had this circled to
Yeah, that was the
understand,
reason.
but it says. To credit the boathouse tenant for 1/4 payment of his annual rent and to issue no bill for the second quarter. That's
On
2
utilities,
quarters.
on utilities, I think that was supposed to say.
It doesn't say that.
It was the bill on utilities, because I think they've been shut off for most of the quarter. The way that, it's not, and the quarters aren't, I don't believe Jan through March. I thought they started differently in the.
I think
On
it
the
is
average.
January through March. He wasn't able to use it though he only uses it June, July, August.
May through
September, so
October.
by missing 1 month, he's missing like really a third of his.
Yeah.
Year.
Yeah, he's missed May and June.
Yeah.
Which is 1/4 of his.
That was it.
Oh, no,
So
that's not a quarter of a year, 2 months.
But he doesn't use it in a
A quarter of his
Whose
year.
problem is that?
Well, that's how they,
Sorry, no,
Yeah, it's,
Well, it
I
makes
don't think we're
sense.
talking about a
Right.
material amount,
Okay.
because he's got such a deal on it. It's $1,000 if you want to throw the extra month out of it.
That would pay for you to be on that committee.
My price just did go up,
he actually missed 1/3 of his rent.
Yeah.
period, but we're only giving-
Okay.
so,
That's okay.
okay, so I think that's really it. Everything else is in there. Check.
Marina Fest?
Approve the schedule and the vendors. That's, so we're good to go on that one.
And our cultural rec has not met, Parks Property Streets.
Any questions from the minutes that are in there? There's 2 sets. The one pertained with Bertram and then the regular scheduled meeting.
Denise, what page are you on?
Oh, I scrolled past it now. I'm so sorry. Before 317,
Oh, I'm looking for you. What page, Denise? Sorry.
306 is where the first 7 minutes for Parks.
thank you.
Yeah, it's on another.
That was a pretty big meeting. It's really shame.
For Bertram's,
Gonna be $2 million commitment that we made. Nobody showed up.
Okay. Personnel Committee. We met, we're meeting again. There was a survey given out for an evaluation that was sent to all the trustees. We're gonna be reviewing that tomorrow.
I have a question on page 319. Line 11. White suggested a separate meeting in which the administrator can provide a review of the board. I don't know what the hell that means.
Kind of at 360 of, I'm speaking for her and I probably shouldn't. I think she's reading it.
Yeah.
I think, no, that's okay. I think it was because when we were talking about, sometimes in business, we ask our employees to evaluate bosses to say, are we communicating well? How's it going? Or am I providing you the things you need to succeed?
That's.
And I think that was basically the comment, is should we have Julie have the opportunity to address us as a board, and say, here's what you guys are really doing for me.
In general terms,
I think
because
more in
otherwise it's a death sentence.
Yeah,
I think it's,
yeah,
Administrator.
it's really what can we do to support you?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's really what the
Well,
context
it
was.
can be, depending on how you take comments. It could be a death sentence. If you take.
No,
them-
because-
Why would I
But you
answer
could
it?
also take them constructively to say, geez, I really am an ass, and I bet.
Well,
you-
it's more
and I
like,
can-
it's,
We
it
can
was
only hope
more
we
around the
realize that.
process, like, it was more around, like, how are we working together? Like that, it, you know, it was more around what is the cadence of, you know, how.
Not
is-
individuals, but
Correct,
just what is it that
correct.
the board
How do we
can
work
do
together?
to-
Yes.
Yeah.
To me, yes, that,
Okay.
so
Not
so that is not
personalities,
reflected
not
here.
opinions,
Yes.
not anything,
How we
because
dress.
it didn't say, it's vague, and I'm like,
Yeah. That's true. We should clarify that. That's a good suggestion, because that can be taken out of context. Especially, yeah.
I got a story about that for another day.
Okay, plan commission.
Anybody have questions about what we've been doing? Comments,
Would you do
direction,
about the whole SDR
yeah,
too soon?
I really wish it would just all go away, I really don't wanna ever talk about it again.
So I was at this meeting, but my name's not listed. Probably because I didn't sign in.
Which meeting, the one in May?
Planning
The
commission.
plan-
The public
the
hearing?
public hearing. Sorry, is that the one that's here?
Oh, so with that one, they only write down if you speak up. If you
Oh,
just-
got it. Okay.
Just, you know, to those plan commission minutes, I didn't realize the draft was in there. I revised them, so the ones that go to the plan commission are gonna look different. They were just too lengthy. And I had found a couple, changes in the STR thing. Some of the way things were worded, I thought it should be worded different.
That's good, because when I ran out of time, I did not read my own plan commission minutes.
Good, you'll get a chance next week.
Well, I knew I'd have to next week anyway.
SBA,
Oh, I am having my first meeting with them tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, so I'm just gonna actually sleep over here. And, I'll be right here.
But they don't meet
yeah,
here.
they're meeting here tomorrow, huh?
They are tomorrow.
Oh, they are.
That's what I think.
You can sleep in there.
No, they are.
I don't know, they usually meet at, we used to meet at
They don't-
NBTC.
They meet at WGC.
No, they said to me at the village fire station, I'm telling you.
Ellie, can you hear us? Do you know where you're meeting tomorrow?
Fire station.
Yes, I can hear you. We are meeting at the fire station. NWTC is,
I was paying attention to my emails.
you were,
All
yeah,
right,
you got it right, Don.
Yeah.
NWTC is booked. Cause they have a busy summer, so we are traveling for the next few months for our meetings.
But I have nothing to do.
Wow. Bless you for hanging in there, Ellie.
She sticks into the end on every meeting. Yeah, Ellie would be great on coastal byways.
It's okay, until 1 o'clock, and you guys get the.
So yes, I have nothing either.
Tourism Zone Commission.
I did not make last week's meeting because I was getting ready for the board meeting, but I have made all the other ones. But they had their annual face-to-face get together, otherwise we usually meet by Zoom. And we go through the new licenses, the revenue numbers, the issues. It's actually a very, very informative group to be a part of.
Yeah, Louise did make it.
The
Yes,
face-to-face,
she-
yeah, she wasn't, I don't think she was at the, I can't remember, I don't think she was at the one when she was first appointed. Or
No,
maybe,
that was the
maybe that was
first
her
one she was
first
on,
one,
because
that was
I-
her first
I
one,
had
yeah.
back and forth with Dave. 'cause he
Yeah,
wanted
I'm
to-
glad she could make it, because,
Sure.
like I said, I couldn't make that one.
And we did, they should have contact information now.
Yeah, she was on the roster, or on the roster.
The utilities.
Any questions? It was a short meeting except for closed session. Most of our business was held there.
Village Hall.
And the main thing we approved was sending an RFP out for architect and beginning of the plan.
The question, Don?
Mhm.
So it says that a motion was made to install a new high efficiency furnace in the basement of the village hall. So not for the main level, not just the basement,
No, it'll the building.
The whole building.
because it was
There's one for the basement and then there was a price for the main level. But that's not what the motion says.
No, it's just,
It-
the furnace, I don't think it has different zones.
No, he does
Well, 'cause
have
there's
it
two
here. He
different
does have it.
prices.
He was gonna go get two, get
But then
quotes.
one of them was what we seen.
That's
Each
separate on
separate.
here, that's 8,000.
Yeah, I'd have to look back at the thing,
No, because there's ductwork going in that's gonna serve.
So I'm
that,
not
and-
gonna clarify.
Yeah,
So-
because we had to remove these.
So is it for 14,000 or is it for like 22,000?
I think
Okay,
it was the more expensive.
okay, so it's both of them then. Okay.
So under others, Nikki's last name is spelled wrong.
Like the carpet.
Oh, another question, bottom of page 356. Discussion on responses to planning services RFP. The sentence starting or line 46, after the survey results, the determination is that the facility will be a community center.
That's what the village hall committee is going to recommend.
But what is that?
What, community center? Or
Yeah,
community center?
right. I
Place for
mean, it can, people can have all different
Yeah,
kinds
well,
of.
they did in the survey, we directed.
I
them
took the
to-
survey.
okay, yeah, so, and by and large, it came back as a non-athletic community center, so they're not gonna be putting, sports courts in it and stuff like that, it'll be a place for arts. It'll be a place for community meetings.
Social event,
yeah.
for the community.
I mean, I don't know how I would describe a community center in any
Okay.
other way. I could, like, if I could keep coming up with adjectives, but I would fail.
But I think that that's a really good point, because the community center is so vague, and actually there was a discussion about it that was. Surprisingly, not in a good light about community centers at that conference I went to.
Should we call it a roller rink? I mean,
I
honestly, I
think
don't-
that we make sure that we
You're
Delineate
hiring your
what it is.
consultant to define it for you. That's what it says in the paragraph.
Well,
fantastic.
It's not a sports complex and a consultant will help you with that.
Good.
Well, I read that, yeah, but.
Center of Excellence,
Okay.
Center for the Arts.
And then I did throw in the TIP joint review board minutes, even though it's not listed as a committee on our
Okay.
official list.
I still have one more question on Village Hall on page 357, line 8. Julie says that the village can choose to act contrary to the code, and she feels that if that were to happen, there should be some effort to improve parking, particularly for handicapped use. You have told me since day one, we cannot violate our own codes. What does this say?
I might not have said it exactly like that. I think I probably said the plan commission can give leeway on that, because we were trying to figure out how to, not how to get parking, but how to get handicap
Yeah.
parking by the building.
Yes.
And the discussion was using some of that parking area on the side by the boathouse to see if some of that could be used as handicap parking for the village hall.
It's a long way out.
Somebody might want to clean that up.
Don, that's what we said, right?
Yeah.
Patrice?
Yeah.
Yep.
It was to help those who need.
That's all
They
I have.
do recognize parking's an issue, but we knew we had to look at the handicap part of it.
all right,
I mean, what?
matters to be placed on a future agenda. I would like to,
Make a motion on those.
yeah, can I motion to approve committee reports?
Yes, second that.
Don, I think Don's
Oh.
making a motion now.
Sorry.
Oh, I thought you made a motion.
I thought he made
that's
the
what I
motion
thought
too.
I did, okay, fine. Motion by Bill,
There you go.
second by Shampo. Let's get it done.
All right.
All those in favor?
All right.
I-
Opposed, motion carries. Matters to be placed on a future agenda. Review.
January 2024.
Review of the STR code by planning commission.
I would like to talk about the coal tar sealants
So-
that. Oh, we have to vote on
Give,
that.
give me a moment here.
Oh, I thought we.
So I have another, it's going to be pertaining to that.
Okay.
So, there, one of the challenges we have is our meetings tend to run long. We need to make sure that this is longer than I would prefer it to be. I do think that there is some benefit for having the trustees find issues that they feel strongly about and sharing those ideas with the other trustees. And I would propose that we have a special meeting where every trustee can get a half an hour to bring up whatever topic and bring experts in there or whatever they so choose for that meeting. And that would be, we'd have to set it on Tuesday night. Just so we don't have planned to on our board. And let's talk about these topics, such as the issue you brought up, because I understand that that's important and I don't dispute that. I choose not to do it for that reason. But at the same point, where do we fit it into a village board meeting? So
Is that something that the Climate Coalition put out information about a couple of years ago?
Had a meeting a couple weeks ago. I went to at the Unitarian Church. Gibraltar just banned it, Sturgeon Bay's banned it, Green Bay down, the Lake Shore's banned it. I just thought it would be like easy. Let's just ban it.
What was it?
Excellent.
So is that-
Cool tar sealants, high PAH sealants, or these other ones now. Anyway, just, it seems like a good, easy ecological thing to do. It doesn't hurt any local business and just makes us look, environment.
And it'll work towards green tier.
So that's, I think that's also set to go to green tier now.
I did.
Yeah, so to have it go through the committee process, have it go to green tier and then it can come here. But at the same point, you also made me think about that because to put that on, to have them come here at this meeting tonight would have been, it would have been long for them, but even longer for us. We're still not down.
Yeah. Right.
So that's where I came to the idea of, we should make sure that we understand what the other trustees feel is important. And maybe this issue will be resolved by then, but I don't know how everybody else feels about doing a dedicated meeting. Where it's just that, and we can't just get together and have a conversation. We have to publicly notice it and all that.
What one of the 100 items should I bring to that meeting?
Very, very tough choice for you to make this. You've got to sort through, pick one.
I could give you mine. I don't have
can
one.
buy
You
mine.
can- He has two now.
You're just gonna give it away now?
Pretty happy guy.
You should have traded that.
I don't really have anything that. I
Need
would
more
suggest
assistant
for-
coaches for T-ball.
Yeah, we need more assistant coaches.
Okay, well, then you're gonna do a half
Like-
hour
We
presentation.
don't need that.
Nate, what I'm thinking of is Blue Zones project, which came up at our green tier meeting. Because it ties so much to the future of the village, and is that something we align with? I think obviously the green tier committee could be a body that helps make that happen, but I would like direction from the board, educate the board around it. Is that something that we would care about? The Blue Zones project is a national organization. They could come and present. It's all about creating a healthy community and what that means. So it'd be a little bit of education, I think, for all of us, and then maybe some discussion around. Is that something that we feel is important? And then we could take that direction to the green tier committee. That's the one that pops up.
Not against this thought process or whatever, but is this the best way to move it, to sharing it with the board and then sharing the same information with the committee only for it to eventually be recommended to come back to the board?
I mean, I think that sometimes that can be, especially for a new board member to navigate that process, to know how that goes through. And I think that it would be beneficial for us to get to know each other a little bit. I mean, other than you and I guess I don't know how everybody else is, but we haven't all been together as a board that long. So I think it would be a chance to take a shortcut, and we would have to give up one night of our time to do this. We'd have to make it one item that was particularly important. But I hear what you're saying, like some of this would go back to committee and then it would get circled back, and then hopefully it wouldn't take as long when it came back to us. But I don't know how everybody else feels.
And are you thinking about doing this like a couple of times a year? Because if somebody, everybody's got an issue, goes through committee, comes up to the board, we all love it, it's implemented. Okay, next round.
I think we see how this first one goes, and either we say, wow, that was a waste of time, or wow, that was a really great idea, and let's do it again.
Good idea.
How about 15 minutes each?
10.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking 3.5 hours and a half hour.
Yeah, well, I guess what I'd be looking at is doing it sometime in August or September, and I know summer is not great for people, but at the same point, there never seems to be a great time.
September.
I'm not sure how you agenda this one, because we're supposed to identify items, maybe call it a
Well, we would have workshop, we would have to identify the items we're gonna talk about, even if we don't have it. And like, we wouldn't just walk in and say, oh, this is my idea. We'd have to declare the headline. Would that
Okay.
satisfy that requirement? Reggie? Would we?
Yeah.
So,
Are we gonna put, I'm gonna put food trucks on a future agenda to talk about those.
I mean, we're gonna need them out here so you can stay
That could be
nourished
your
for our next
topic.
meeting.
I'm kind of serious. about
Yeah,
it.
there's a code that says you can't discuss it again for 1 year.
Seriously?
No.
Wait, but we just, wait, a question, is that just for food trucks? Okay, oh, I was like, cause we just said the other one, we're gonna bring back. Okay.
State
It's like so
that.
past my bedtime, I think.
Okay.
All right.
Is there any other, I'm sorry to cut you off and all of a sudden.
Okay, so can I bring this to Green Tier and ask them to put it and not wait until August?
I'm the chair of that, yes, you may.
Okay, and maybe they can discuss it and then you can bring it to the board.
Perfect. Yeah, I can invite them. Maybe Heidi, I can work with you. We can invite them to come to Green Tier. in
Sarah, I
person.
think
But
there's
you're
a
right, you made the
YouTube
wheels.
video, Allison had a YouTube video that we had talked about the Green Chair Committee watching.
Perfect, let's do that.
Because we do have quite a bit that we're gonna talk about.
Okay. That's a good suggestion.
Okay. Any other matters to be placed on a future agenda? Okay, then we go back into executive session.
Oh my goodness.
So seeing that we only have one person here, can we stay here and can you can go out in the hallway?
I was just watching your meetings to see if I could learn something.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you check to see if I got a ticket on my car because I spoke up against the police officer? I didn't mean to. I just feel like,
Yeah.
I really love, I just, but I probably got a ticket
Not today, it'll be a couple.
Yeah.
when I least expected.
The president, you need a motion. Okay, can I get a motion? I'll make a motion that we adjourn to executive session.
Second.
Second by Shampoo. Roll call, Val, yes.
Shampoo, yes.
White, yes. Orozco, yes.
Werner, yes.
That's yes.
Berto, yes.
Okay,
Okay, yeah.
make a motion to come out of closed session.
Second.
Motion by Bell, second by Cox. Val, yes.
Shampoo, yes.
White, yes. Orozco, yes.
Werner, yes.
Cox, yes.
Berto, yes.
Okay, we're out of closed session. Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to refer the Paula Anschutz reimbursement to the finance committee.
Second that.
Motion by
So
what?
make a motion, let me just clarify, you're making a motion
To
finance to reimburse Paula.
50%,
the conversation.
not the whole.
Isn't it the finance committee that?
But we are suggesting that she is reimbursed, I believe, as a board. Is that what we're
Yeah, and doesn't the finance
Some
committee
manner.
determine the amount? Or do
I think
do we
that's-
need to make
That could
the,
be in your motion, I heard.
okay, 50%.
Second that.
Motion by White, second by Roscoe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So just to clarify for the record, that was a motion.
Thank you, Julie.
A motion to recommend to the finance committee, to pay 50% of Paul Anschutz's claim.
Not,
If under.
not to exceed
Under-
three
not to
thousand dollars,
exceed
or 5,500, but let's say it's, if she comes
Yes.
with 10. So let's say
Yeah,
not to exceed $3,000,
Agreed. Thank you.
50% or not to exceed.
You good with that, Lou? Since you made the second?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then I believe the motion to adjourn would be in order.
I so move.
Second.
Motion by White. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.